Good evening and welcome to another MTV Community Forum. And I am your host, Byron Campbell, and of course, Chris Diali, our co-host. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening,
Christopher.
Thank you. Chris works, Christopher works, any which one. Thank you for us being here. Again,
Yeah.
we back, viewers and listeners, to discuss some other pertinent issues that we see happening in the region and in our country. And I think tonight we're going to have a very interesting one on the politics side.
Tell the viewers who's on, Chris.
We're going
who's
to
coming.
be having the caretaker for St. David's.
Yes.
She's Miss Nolene Thompson, Mrs. Nolene Thompson, who is
Yes.
going to be joining us when we break for after chit chat to tell us about her, her aspirations for the upcoming election and what she hopes to achieve.
Chris, of course, making the news very sad, very unfortunate is the passing, the untimely death, I want to say, of the ex-Senator Nealon Franklin. This was, a hard one, a difficult one, particularly when a young person, vibrant, great future, appear healthy, and you get the news that he passed away. At first you thought it's a fake, it's a joke. And then other people call you and say, yes, it's true. Very untimely. I'm from the Northwest, he's from the Northwest, and the whole community, Brizan in particular, is mourning. maybe the country is mourning, because this young man had so much potential,
Yeah, it's always difficult when a young person who we see have a future in public life
Yes.
passes at such a tender age.
Yeah.
Of course, condolences to his family
Yes.
and all
Yes.
his
Yes.
immediate and extended family, because it was sudden. So it is even much more difficult in that sense to deal with. So, the young man, when he was in the Senate, he made his contribution, albeit not for a long period, but he made his contribution, whatever it was. So, these things are always sad and unfortunate, and, we could only pray and hope that we can move on, gracefully and easily with God's grace.
Yeah, and you could extend that because the information reaching us is that there are two other relatively young persons also passed away from the Customs Department.
Yeah, I think they buried one today.
Yeah, very
No,
unfortunate, very, very sad situation.
Yeah.
I just need to mention that, Chris. Chris, the deployment of by the U.S. of some 3 warships and as much as 4,000 Marines in the Southern Caribbean, wrong Venezuela, wrong us, apparently, as the U.S. stated to curb drug trafficking, that has happened. The reaction is mixed by it. We know Trinidad, the Prime Minister there, it's a statement, she came out and in support of this deployment, indicating that Trinidad has this issue, it has this problem with drugs and the cartels and the crime and other factors contributing, that this drug trade is contributing to this situation. But of course, Venezuela has reacted by deploying its warships and drones to patrol its coastline, its northern coastline. But other players in the region. In other words, what's unfortunate thing about this, Chris, that CARICOM as a nation, as a region, has not responded to this in a collective way, but the Prime Minister of Trinidad is on record saying it's like everyone for the South. This is our position. You take your position. We're looking at what is best for our country. This is not good for regional integration and policy, Chris.
Yeah, but I don't believe that when you look at the military assets that has been deployed by the U.S., we have some ships that are military missile ships in the Armada ships that is there. Plus you have a nuclear-powered submarine in the region with the assets that has been deployed. So you have to ask yourself, if the drug interdiction trade in the last few years or few months have increased so significantly that I need such heavy military assets in the area. I don't believe so. I believe that the U.S. have always had their assets in the area helping with the drug trade. It is probably, they say it could probably have increased, I don't know, but not in the type of military ships that we see in there. So I believe this is more of a Venezuela issue that we don't know about, or what is the intelligence that they have, that they need to let Venezuela know that, they are here and they are wronged. So whatever you have in your mind, think twice. And the U.S., based on the posturing in different areas, Israel and so on, with the wars that are going on in Ukraine and Russia, obviously there is a more global picture here to understand what is happening. And Maduro has to be careful, because the U.S. is famous for getting rid of leaders, they just disappear them.
Well, remember, he has a bounty of $50 million on his head. But Chris, back to the drug trade. If you really want to deal with the drug trade and the drug trafficking, the cartels, I mean, let's look at the history of it. Mexico and the United States. It hasn't worked. If you want to deal with the drug trade, and you have to deal with the
consumers.
The consumers, the demand. And that means you have to deal with the issues in the United States. How you deal with that. You also have to deal with the supply. What's happening there, the poverty in these countries that generate these issues. So it shows that deploying military assets is not a solution. We know that. But one commentator said this, like, it has also to do with what's happening in the oil business. We see Venezuela, we now see Suriname, Guyana. I mean, this is a positioning. Positioning, So is it bigger than that? Is it about oil? Is it about a projection of U.S. power?
Remember, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago just sent our energy minister to Grenada.
Yes.
To have discussions with our Prime Minister on possible ways they could, partner on whatever hydrocarbons is available for Grenada, so that they could use their technology to assist. So Trinidad is positioning as well.
Yes.
And being a fellow CARICOM state, nothing is wrong with that. But we need to look at this deeper and get an
CARICOM, I like to see, because this is we say in the Caribbean is a zone of peace.
It is.
And those ships, helicopter, it's like a aircraft carrier. It carries, it can move from sea to shore.
And they can deploy missiles from anywhere.
Precisely, of course.
So it's not small assets.
Chris, we have an issue in Grand Mall, and it made the headlines last week, where a local company there, Sol, who owns a small piece of land adjoining the beach, they're in the process of a location to erect containers, like a storing containers. And to do this, they have put boulders apparently to a sea defense to protect their property. But in doing this, they have essentially blocked, they reduced the beach side, the sand side, and that's already narrowed due to natural beach erosion. And so walking on the beach now, it's difficult. You have to pass through the water. Besides being unsightly, it is troublesome for the community. It's an area where the community access frequent daily recreation. It's a local asset. It's important. So although the company, in my own communication with personnel, they indicated that they had received permission from physical authority to proceed with this, but the community is saying, we don't know about this. Nobody consulted us. Nobody. So we have a problem there.
Yeah, but the question, from both sides. I understand the community's response. Yeah. Because they're losing part of the beach to this construction. Yeah. But does the company have a need to consult with them? Unless they're doing something that is environmentally deleterious to the area.
It's a community asset.
Well, the beach belongs to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, including the private owner that has come there to do whatever. So if they have their property in front, they are not defending them. They are just saying we need to understand the rights on both sides. Yeah. Here you have a private company looking to develop and do whatever construction they want to do. And the engineers must have advised that, listen, you need to protect the asset by putting sea defense. And boulders have been chosen as the option to put this sea defense. They didn't consult with the community, because as far as they know legally, they're within their rights to do what they have to do, because physical planning approved the project. So the company is not at blame per se. What needs to happen now is that the sides must get together and see how the boulders that have been placed there could be repacked or redone in such a way.
I look at it, it can't be repacked. It has to be removed.
Yeah, but you can't.
It has to be removed. You can't repack it. It's too narrow. It's too small.
Let me ask a question.
Yes, ask your question.
If they had to remove the boulders and something was to happen with flood and the people's property get damaged, is the community going to come and repair it?
Chris, I am a member of that community and we will demonstrate, we will take action. I'm answering your question. We will take action, we will demonstrate to make sure those boulders are removed.
So the way to do it is
it is unacceptable for this to happen. It's disrespectful, Chris.
You're saying that no sea defense is required?
Find other means. The wall, there's a wall protecting their property. Put a better wall up.
But you all are not engineers.
No, we're not engineers.
Engineers have advised that this is the way the company has to go. You can't tell the company remove it.
Well, the community will tell them to remove.
Yeah, but the community, government is going to have to get involved.
Well, I hope they do.
And they have to have a mediated process. The process can't be to remove the stones.
Yes.
The process, the mediation solution has to be a give and take on both sides.
Chris, I don't see any compromise on this, personally.
It's not blocking access to the beach, eh?
Yes, it is.
No, it's blocking access to walk along the beach.
Exactly.
But there's not access to the beach.
But that's even worse. I can't use the beach.
Well, let's see.
Okay. Chris, let's stay on the beach still. BBC, we understand that there are several boats, yachts and other boats anchoring, using it as anchorage, BBC Beach. But as far as we know, what we learn is that it's not a designated anchorage area. And the problem with this is that when you look at BBC, it seems to be a closed area. In others, you don't have that current movement that will take debris, will take anything out of it, so it stays there a long time. Why is this happening, though? I mean, what's the implication of that?
Well, it's important to highlight it because people who use the beach are seeing this multitude of yachts now anchoring in the BBC Bay. Yeah. And it is not a designated anchorage area. The anchorage area is... Grand Anse is an example. It's not a designated anchorage area. They can anchor in Grand Anse. Yeah. They have to anchor like off Pity, the beach there.
Pandi.
And off, the cliff, the area there. Yeah. So you need the authorities, and I believe this falls under the ambit of Port Authority. Yeah. Needs to be drawn to their attention that this is happening. Because we don't know what effluent is going into the water and how the water is going to be affected from the yachts. Yeah. And nobody is patrolling this in terms of what they dispose and don't dispose. Yeah. So it's something that we need to bring to the attention of the authorities, particularly the Port Authority.
It's important, yeah. Chris, something interesting happened. I read somewhere that Grenada inspires Scottish dropping allegiance to the king. And so they took up what was happening in Grenada, and one parliamentarian in Scotland raised it. And of course, he was branded shameless, But it's interesting that what happened in Grenada is creating a wave elsewhere.
I think the time for this allegiance to colonial powers of the past, historically, is going to be dismantled eventually. The Commonwealth, we have a huge number of countries in the Commonwealth. Yes. You don't have to lose your status as being a member of the Commonwealth if you don't pledge allegiance to the king. If you go to a republic status, then that will happen. But at the end of the day, I see no benefit, really, of pledging allegiance to the king. When the king is far removed. We might as well pledge allegiance to ourselves and the country that we serve.
Chris, finally, Chris, budget consultations are on. I think there's one somewhere in some community tonight. Of course, it's a positive initiative to do this, but is it genuine? To what extent do we get results? To what extent does a community recommendation incorporated in budgets? I mean, and not just with now, but generally,
the consultations is necessary. You need to hear from the various stakeholders what their concerns are and where government is projecting to head for the next year and how their policies are going to affect them in one way. So the consultations is important from that point of view. However, what it is that gets into the budget based on the consultations could be debated. At times it's few, at times, you could say at best. It can be 50%, it's less than that because government have their macroeconomic understanding of the economy and they have to manage that. So, for example, when I was in the chamber, we used to look for reduce taxes, whether it's corporation tax or income tax or whatever. And the government will come back and say, well, we operate on the basis of revenue neutrality, meaning that if they lose on one end, they have to get it back on the other end to keep the revenue neutral. Yes. So we used to have to go with proposals to show them how we could do things differently. And one of the things that we need to consider, in my view, in budget consultations is what we're doing with the VAT at 15%.
Yes.
And what is going to happen. But the other interesting thing that is happening, Byron, talking to some wholesale retailers, is that for this Christmas period, the goods that we're going to be importing is going to see an increase of across the board of about 20%. So you can imagine what is going to happen with our imported inflation on food items coming in, and they start seeing that some of the major supermarkets have started seeing that increase escalating.
20%.
But 20% is a significant increase. So it's something we have to prepare for. And if the budget consultations is aware that this is happening, we have to prepare on how we're going to deal with this when it comes, because a lot of our inflation is imported. And there's very little we could do, but a 20% increase.
And then when you take so it means the ratio of the VAT would also go up. You pay more,
So it's happening because of the tariffs that Mr. Trump has
Exactly, it's all part of Trump 2.0. Yeah. So Chris, that's all the time we got for this. Viewers, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, of course, as Chris indicated to you, we'll be having a conversation with Ms. Nolene Thompson. She's, of course, the caretaker for the NNP in the constituency of St. David's. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Laboratories, providing quality care and expertise. Fit for life and allied laboratories. See our in-house doctors and our pharmacies. Get expert care and quality tests. When it comes to your health, you deserve the best. Fit for life and allied laboratories. We're taking care of Grenada.
This is Community Forum. As we indicated earlier, we have this evening a guest of ours who is a caretaker for St. David's in the name of Miss Nolene Thompson. Nolene James Thompson, let me make sure I get it right. She's a daughter and raised in St. David's. She was born in St. David's. She eventually did her professional training in studies in broadcast journalism, came back to Grenada and then transitioned into business doing procurement management and human resources, and today she co-owns a business with her husband who has raising 3 sons, one of whom is an autistic young man. She has a passion for and conviction to advocate for families of children with special needs and developmental delays. She remains deeply committed to ensuring these families receive resources and opportunities. So, Ms. Nolene Thompson, good evening and welcome to Community Forum. You're hearing us, Nolene?
We are not hearing.
We're not hearing you. Let me see if we can get them to adjust the volume.
Yes, I can hear you. So Okay, Chris, they're fixing the problem. So while they fix the problem, we could look at
so
some.
Nolene is going to be going up against, of course, the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
In a position as caretaker, if she's voted in as a representative for the New National Party for the St. David's constituency. I think it's going to be a big challenge. Don't you think so?
Why do you think it's going to be a challenge?
Well, the Prime Minister has been in surveys that have been done, shown to be very popular as the Prime Minister. I'm not certain, and I make that distinction because his popularity in the constituency may vary depending.
Let's find out. Ms. Thompson, can you hear us?
I am hearing you.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Great. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Perfectly, Ms. Thompson.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Thompson, let me start off and ask you, with a background in business and a background in broadcast journalism, why politics?
Why politics?
Yeah.
I've been asked that question a few times, and I think this is the right time. I've thought about this before. I've been approached before, and I didn't think I was ready, especially when you're managing a business on your own with well, not just on my own, but with my husband, and I had just moved back to Grenada. It's been 8 years, and I wanted to at least get my own personal business established first and my foundation set before I even considered doing this. But I think what really pushed me was me trying to get some sort of assistance when it comes to a child who has special needs. And I went out to every single ministry there was. I consulted with so many different people, and I could not, everyone understood and said and agreed, yes, this is something that we need here for families with special needs children or children who has developmental delays or disorders. But no one was willing to facilitate or finance any programs that meant something. So I figured, if I can't do it on the outside, I have to be somewhere where, I can somehow have, some connection with creating policies that will support families of children who are, vulnerable and who has some sort of disability. Not only that, I've been involved in politics on the not in the forefront, but in the back. In Canada, I used to be the president of the NNP support group there. And my mom, she was extremely active in politics here. And I've been hearing her talking in my head for a pretty long time, that I should actually get involved. And I think now is the appropriate time for me to do just that.
So let me ask this question to you. You're running in St. David's. St. David's is the current Prime Minister's constituency. There you may argue, some may argue that the Prime Minister is very popular there. We have seen surveys saying that he's a very popular man politically on his own in what he brings across. But does St. David's, from your take, in order to win St. David's, we need to understand the needs of that constituency? Do you see special needs children or special needs or mental health issues as a major concern for the constituents in St. David's that will get them to lean in your direction to voting for you in a St. David's context? I'm not talking here now nationally, because I understand we may have. What from a St. David's context have you cited as being critical areas that when you meet with the people of St. David's on the various platforms, you will be able to convince them to come and support your side?
First of all, I don't believe popularity wins elections. You can be popular, but doesn't mean that people may like you they may like you as a person, doesn't mean that they would like your politics. So I am not fearful of, the Prime Minister being popular. I care more about what the people on the ground are thinking and what they're saying. And me being on the ground since April, it's a different picture than what you see on social media. Social media can mislead people in believing that things are reality when it's not the case. And as someone who's constantly on the ground, meeting with people almost every single day, going to funerals, going to house, it's a total different story on the ground. So I'm not concerned about the popularity. I'm concerned about, the way, our seniors living with dignity, a lot of the young people, what type of diverse opportunities that they do have. I care about compassion, and people, are looking for someone who has compassion, who understands their needs and who will listen to their needs. Sometimes we're not really good at listening. We take a top-down approach where we dictate what we believe people need, as opposed to taking a ground-up approach where we consult with the people, understand what it is that they need, and to implement those, and do your best, I would say, to implement the things that they are requiring. So
as you mentioned social media, how is your campaign in terms of using social media to meet the needs and the understanding of the needs of the parishioners of the constituency of St. David's? Because we know this is now a big aspect in the political way in terms of meeting. Apart from door to door, you have to have a social media presence. How critical is that going to be for you as we go forward?
Well, as you can see, I'm working a lot on social media. You'll see I'm doing I'm doing weekly podcasts and stuff like that. And I think I know it's working. Social media, a lot of young people, they are on social media all the time. And it's funny that I went to church on Sunday, and one of our senior pastors, who's an older gentleman, he even told me, he said, "Oh, I just saw your video. I really like it." So that people are actually watching you on social media. Everywhere I go, now I even have to be very mindful of how I dress, and how I carry myself, because people meet me in the grocery store, and you hear people, "Miss Thompson, you don't know me, but I know you because I saw you on TV or I saw you on Facebook." So I do know that social media has a huge impact on people, but people also want to see you. They don't want to just see you on social media. They want to have that interaction with you, because I do a lot of, as I said, I do a lot of house to house, and a couple of days ago I went out, and as much as some people say they saw me on social media, they said they wanted to see me in person, and we were able to have conversations. So people want that dynamic relationship where even if they see you on social media, they want to have a balance of seeing you, and interacting with you in person as well.
It can be said and it can be alleged that St. David's, being the Prime Minister's constituency, have gotten a lot of assistance in terms of community centers, lighting up playing fields. I think he had a project, I can't remember the name of it, to bring WC facilities to people who didn't have it in a rural community. So, NNP was accused at one time of being a government of a lot of concrete roads and doing a lot of that. We see some degree of that happening, but do you believe that the current administration is causing a transformation, as they have argued and put forward in their campaign, that they are government of transformation and doing projects that are transformative? Are you seeing that happen in St. David's?
To be quite clear, I would say no. A lot of the projects that I'm seeing, for example, you talked about the lighting the playing fields, but a lot of the playing fields were already lit under the new National Party, so this is not new. I know that they're redoing La Sagesse, and I'm wondering why are we doing La Sagesse when La Sagesse would have been done just before elections. So I don't know why they want to spend that money, to relight a playing field that's already been lit. I don't know why, but I know that is being done. But we've done it before. The WASH program that they have with the bathroom and toilet, this was a program that was under the new National Party as well. So that's not new. The roads, I see, I drive, especially on the top road. I'm not sure if you guys know St. David's well, but when you go through from Edmonton Junction all the way up to Vincent's,
yes,
I see lots of roads that they've cut. They've cut, the sides, and you see a lot of bare tree roots hanging, and I am worried that, with enough rainfall, a lot of this that they've started to do will cause substantial erosion, because there's no proper, and I'm not an engineer, and I'm just going based on what I see, not to condemn anything, because I do appreciate that they're doing the work in St. David's to get some of the roads widened and some of the, the sidewalks and so forth done. But, when you start something and you leave it, because I don't see people all the time working, you see a lot of the roads are half done, work is not continuing on a daily basis. So, you have to wonder, when the rain starts falling, what happens, right? So are they doing these things because they want to push an agenda? Or are they doing it because they really care about the people? Because if they care, I spoke to a gentleman whose road they've cut so long, and they built a wall, but all the roots of the trees, they're exposed on above. And he's fearful that with enough rainfall, the trees, and they're big trees, mango trees and stuff, it can fall across the road and fall on his house. So, while I think that they want to do good work, but are the people that they're hiring considering, are they using proper engineers or people who can give them proper advice on how you do these things?
So do you believe that the government has an implementation problem, because implementation is not starting, it's starting and completing the project? So do you believe there's an issue with implementation? We have a whole minister with a ministry that is supposed to be handling implementation. Do you believe there's an implementation from where you sit, from the caretaker aspect of St. David's and the projects that have started?
Yes, I believe that, because what I see, I don't see things finishing. Some of them seem abandoned to me personally, because for months I've been driving the areas, and I see the work has started, and we're deep into the rainy season, and still, there's not enough work that can stop. And especially the top road. We know that these roads are always sliding. It's not something that is new. So if you have people, you have the right engineers or architects or whoever it is, that can assess the work before it's done. I think, you don't just give people work because you want to give them work because you want their support. You want to give people jobs who know what they're doing, who understand, who can read. If you give them designs and stuff, they can read it and understand it. You don't just go and pour mortar and have men putting it down. It takes a lot to do these work. So implementation for me I don't believe that they're considering a lot of the realities that's on the ground when it comes to these kind of work and this kind of infrastructure work. And I think they need to do something about it quite urgently, especially in the Windsor Forest up to Vincent's. They need to do something really quickly before we get into deeper rainy season.
Ms. Thompson, I'm going to shift a little from my colleague. I want to look a little bit of your leadership style and your political identity a bit. How would you describe your leadership style and approach to decision making?
For me, I care about inclusion. I care about a political culture where every voice matters, not just echoing the sentiments of a single party and who you support. I believe in serving all, not just some. Because when you do that, I actually want a St. David's who can thrive, economically, socially, and culturally. And in order for me to do that, I need all hands on deck. I can't be, saying, okay, well, it's this versus that. I don't want that. I want, yes, now I understand that I need to win. And to win, I have to, and I am supporting a party and I'm part of a party. But I also understand that once the election is done, that I will have to serve every single person in St. David's, not just the people who supported me. And I think a lot of times we forget that and we push that agenda after the election is finished, and we don't end it. As much as there's so much bickering, constantly, and as leaders we don't stop it from happening. We allow it to happen, and I don't want to be a type of leader who will encourage people being partisan. I think that there's a time and place for that. Once you're in election and campaign mode, yes, you have to do it. But once that is done, you have to lead for every single person and not just some. So this is the kind of leadership style that I want to have.
And of course, you talked about the political party you're affiliated to, which is the New National Party. So why the New National Party, and what do you see in its vision for Grenada that makes it so attractive for you?
The New National Party have a history of getting things done, and I don't want to be anywhere where I can't get something done. I mean, you see it every single time, and when you have leaders like Dr. Mitchell, this man, as much as people sometimes come after him, he has done so much for Grenada. I mean, you hear people talking about 23 years things haven't done, but you can't have a person who has that type of leadership skill that is respected not just in Grenada but respected regionally and internationally. Right? And sometimes we tend to forget the importance of experience and leadership, not just going on a hype, like on sometimes with clothes come in and it goes, and you're in style this week, and next week the style goes out and you toss it out and you go into the new style. No, there are certain pieces that will never go out of style, and Dr. Mitchell is like one of those pieces that never goes out of style. So I wanted to be in a party where I understood and I had someone who I can call and who I can ask questions, because I'm one of those. For me, I learn by asking questions. I'm not an island, and I am not a politician per se, so I need to be in a party where if I have a question, on leadership or how do you deal with something that is in foreign affairs, then I'm able to ask someone who's been there, who understands, who knows it. And secondly, I actually wanted to be in a party where a woman was a leader. And once I saw that Sister Emmeline was elected as leader, I said, you know what, this is my time. I want to affect change, and I want to be a change. And with a woman as a leader, I thought it was the right time as well. So with all of this, with the past and the present come together, and my ideology is very, very similar to, to the New National Party. Sometimes, you have people who flip flop, and you have to wonder, like, if your ideology, is the New National Party, how is it that you can change your ideology to fit the NDC when it's so different, right? You have to be able to stick, whether you like it or not, stick with the people or the place where your ideology and your vision fits the best. And that's the reason why I've selected the NNP.
There's a talk going around that it refers to you, of course, and I'd like your reaction to it. You are being referred to as an air traffic controller in St. David's, in that you are keeping the parliamentary representative on the ground. You're not allowing him to fly to get out. What's it? Because I don't know, because of your action on the ground, but you have this type, air traffic controller. What's your response to this?
I think that's funny. Every time I hear it, I laugh. I think it's funny. People don't understand that. Deacon and I grew up together. Deacon and I grew up we came from the same community. So I've known Deacon all my life. We went to the same primary school. We used to play together as children. So I know Deacon very, very, very well. Me being called the air traffic controller, for me is very funny. He has to be disciplined as well. If you have a constituency, you have to make sure that your constituency is a priority. I think sometimes, a lot of times, again, politicians forget that, your constituency who gives you that seat. You know, it's not your ministry, it's not your office. So as much as you like your office and as much as you want to be in your office, you have to spend a lot of time in your constituency, because what you tell them after 5 years of neglect or 4.5 years of neglect, you know, you go back and ask them to give you a chance again. No, people are pretty smart, you know? So I want to be that person who, you know, gives a lot of my time to my constituents and my constituency, because they're the ones who put you in power. They're the ones who give you the chance to be in power, to even hold a ministerial portfolio.
You will
So,
eventually, you finish, please.
No, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I'm saying I was hoping that you will give him some time to take off, you know. I'm allowing the fly again. You being a controller. Of course, you've expressed, not just expressed, but indicate your interest in the health sector generally. I want to go there a little bit. Of course, we've been hearing a lot about the Project Polaris, the upcoming tertiary hospital. It's a landmark initiative. The government has given a lot of emphasis on that. We heard that the African Bank is going to provide as much as $250 million as far as funding is concerned. Major investment. What's your take on its potential benefits and risk for Grenada's health sector?
Do we need Polaris now? I don't think we do. I believe it's a great initiative. I believe that is something that, you know, we can think and consider. But the way things are right now, you know, building a hospital doesn't guarantee lives being saved. What we can guarantee is human resources. And do we have adequate human resources now? Do we have the equipment that is required now? Do we have the medication that is required now? Now, when you invest so much money on consulting and on a new project, and you neglect the current hospital and the clinics that are available, no, you leave people to die. You know, so you're leaving people. It's like almost like saying, the pasture on the other side sometimes look greener, but you have to focus on what's important now. And as I said, as much as I believe that Polaris, you know, could be effective, I don't think that is something that we should focus on now. I think we should spend those resources on equipping our hospitals to, to have or train new nurses and doctors and give them proper salaries. I know yesterday I went walking. I met a nurse, and she wasn't feeling well. She was on sick leave. And in speaking with her, she says to me that things are so bad at the hospital. You know, they are overworked. You know, you have doctors 24 hours getting a couple hours sleep. No, is that the best thing that we can have? So why are we spending money on getting a new hospital when and abandoning the one that we have now? People are dying now. People need help now. People need medication now. I've had my own experience going to the hospital, and that my son, who's having a seizure, in the middle of his seizure, you know, they're giving me a prescription to run to the pharmacy to get the medication for him at that point, you know? So as much as I think that Polaris has its place, it does not have its place now. I believe that they need to take that money and spend it on human resources, equipment, medication, on the hospital that we have now. We have so many health centers around the country that, again, understaffed, no doctors. You have a private doctor going for a couple hours per day, some days, not every day. Why aren't we spending money to equip these health centers so that it takes away some of the weight on the emergency and at the general hospital? So I just think that, people's priorities right now is not where it should be. It should be placed on the now and fixing the now, trying to get the right resources now, as opposed to, when is Polaris starting? I think they said we're breaking ground 2026. How long will it take for the hospital to be built? No, you build a hospital, where are you getting the doctors and the nurses to staff it, right? Where are you getting them when you already have people here overworked? So, I mean, as good as it may appear, I don't think that it's something that we should consider at the moment.
Yeah, someone said online that Polaris is now hiring facilities manager. I don't know what this means, but look, we have a situation where a lot of our women, particularly single women, because we know almost 50% of our households are headed by single women, that the informal sector is dominated by women. You've been a successful small business woman. What's your message to other women balancing entrepreneurship with leadership? What's the challenge here for them?
My mentality when it comes to business is if I fail, I can try again. As long as I have life, there's always a chance to start over. That is just me. Some people may not have the the finances to start over again, but I believe that once you're committed, you can't succeed if you do not have endurance. You have to have endurance. If you have a goal, obstacles, challenges will always come. But you can't end the race because you feel that you've fallen a couple times. So I would say to endure, if you know for a fact this is what you want to do, don't let setbacks. They talk about the catapult. When you pull the catapult back in order to go further, right? The further you pull it back is the further you propelled. So I believe that young women, if you have a passion, continue to build on that passion, even if sometimes you may have a little setback, but the setback is only a setback for a moment. You have to persevere and you have to endure.
But having said that, though, what specific policy changes would you champion for small business, assuming that you're in government?
A lot of time, I've met a lot of young people who are entrepreneurs, and one of the things that they talk about is the high duties that's on the ports. Because a lot of young people, their small businesses deals with a lot of imports. They have to bring things in, regardless to if it's material for packaging and stuff like that. They have to import it, and sometimes when they do the import, the duties are so high that they cannot make a proper profit. So what we have to do is to have duty concessions on things like equipment and supplies, so that these young people or whoever it is, it could be an older person who wants to start a business, to reduce these import duties. Because that is, for me, that is the single largest issue that young people are having, is that the duties to bring in whatever it is that they're bringing in for this small business is extremely high, and they cannot sustain their business by paying such high duties. Sometimes when they come in and they see that, for example, you buy something for $3 US, and when you have to pay the duties like $60 US, EC. So what's the point, right? You just prefer to just leave it there, and they do not have the materials here to sustain. So either we start having the materials that is required here, or you have to ease up, on the duties for these young people to succeed and to thrive in their business. So these are some of the policies that I will have to look into, is to see where we can reduce these import duties on a lot of the material that these young people are coming in with.
So let me just jump in here again and say to you, the duties will be a harder thing to deal with, because it's a major revenue earner for the government. Probably you may want to look at port charges. But let me move on to something else. When you say about the health sector, our health sector have always been challenged for its efficiency of operation, its human resources. What we do, we invest a lot of money buying drugs. Equipment is not maintained properly. There's a plethora of problems that have been plaguing us in the health sector for many years, this government, the last government, and we don't ever seem to be getting it right. What will you offer differently that will get it right? Because how do we deal with the work ethic of just a simple preventative maintenance program for X-ray equipment and all the other various equipment, the lab equipment for doing tests? How would you articulate something different in terms of policy that could get our health centers and our main hospitals to a level of efficiency that we could feel proud about?
I mean, these are questions that, you know, my husband's stepmom used to be the person in charge. The term of what the position was, you know, is evading me now. But one of the things that she talked about a lot, and she's consistently told me about it, is the lack of training that the employees at the hospital receive, especially nurses. You know, they do not. I think they took away from the, you know, the government and the hospital taking doing the training for the nurses, and they had moved it to SGU, I believe. And I think what she said to me, since after that happened, it started eroding the healthcare system. So I think we have to look at people like her, who has seen and who understands what is needed to run and operate, as opposed to, you know, taking people who don't have that experience. No, you can't. Maybe a doctor who's leading may not have the experience to be in the administrative field. So you have to find the correct people to manage the business in the first place. You know, sometimes we depend so much on government, in the sense that, you know, you use the PS to operate, but does the PS have the administrative skills, you know, to run efficiently and effectively a hospital? So, you know, why can't we find, you know, people with the right ambition, the right experience, the right training, the right knowledge, to put them there to effectively run the hospital? So I think that's what we look at first.
Would you consider, one of the major issues we have with healthcare here is that we're not willing to pay for it. So would you consider, as a policy directive of your government, NNP, if you were to get in office, a policy paper as to how we can charge for medical care for people via the hospitals or the primary healthcare centers like the health centers and so on? Is it something that will be considered? Because essentially, we as a people believe medical care must be free right through the system, and we don't feel to pay for it, whereas we go outside and pay. And I'm heading here now to NHI, National Health Insurance. Would that be an area that you will be looking to see how we could get on board and in play as soon as possible?
To be quite frank, I don't think that I'm at the point where I can speak for the party, what the party plans should be when it comes to healthcare. I have my own personal feelings, but on positions where it has to deal with the party, I think consultation is most important, finding out what the people want and what the people can afford. But when it comes to me taking a position on my own based on the party, I would like to not take that position at this point.
That's fine.
Yes.
So let me ask you another question here now, and this is on the politics and the philosophy. You know, there are two schools of thought that says that if you were to win your seat in St. David's and you become a parliamentarian in the lower house, some schools of thought say, I'm listening to you and saying you need to be close to the people, understanding their needs and giving them what assistance they need to get things done. Would it be something of consideration where you will say, you know, I don't need a ministerial office now. I prefer to work in my constituency. We can work out how you get paid and whatever. But I believe that is more important now, instead of having a ministerial portfolio. Because as you said, if you are a traffic controller, you could understand the distractions that the Prime Minister will have with traveling and his office and his ministries that he has to keep under his control, so he doesn't get time to interact with the people. Would that be something that you'll be willing to consider? Listen, I've won. I know I sit in the House of Representatives, but I am willing to give up a ministerial portfolio to be closer to the people, to understand and effect the needs and their wants.
I can say that, but how do I affect policy if I'm not there, right? I believe that the perfect example and role model for me would be someone like Dr. Mitchell. I don't think anybody had to keep Dr. Mitchell off from the air as a Prime Minister. And he did an excellent job with managing his portfolio as a prime minister and minister of other ministries, and still managed his constituency and kept his constituency grounded. So with a role model like that, I will have to, sit with him and figure out how I can do the same to manage a ministerial portfolio and still be able to manage my constituency well, because it's not something that's far-fetched. It has been done in the past, and I believe that I can do that as well.
The cabinet sits at the pleasure of the prime minister. Whoever that prime minister becomes, if Honorable Emlyn Pair becomes a prime minister. But you can sit in cabinet and have a play in policy, but not necessarily run a ministerial portfolio. So the question here becomes, is it something that a young person like yourself, young in politics, is willing to shake the tree and do things differently, so that, because our politics in the region and in Grenada has been the same old that we've seen from years going on. Are you willing to shake the tree and say, let us try something different? Yes, I can sit in cabinet, I can effect policy and contribute to policy, but I don't necessarily have to be as a ministerial portfolio. Is that something you'll be willing to consider?
You're trying to get me to play my hand on national TV.
No. I'm trying to understand. I mean, you're a young entrepreneur. And I mean, we have to do things differently. Is it something I'm just asking you?
And the truth is, I'm willing to do things differently.
Right.
I'm willing to shake the tree, but I do not want to shake the tree too much when all the fruit fall from the tree. Right?
Agreed.
So, so we'll see. I mean, I'm still, I've only been the caretaker, since April. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that I still have to consider. There's a lot of training that I need to take myself, and I need to take myself seriously. So. All of this is coming. All of these things I'm considering. And once I make a decision, you'll know what my plans really are.
I admire you.
I don't mind shaking the tree. That's important.
Yeah, and I admire the fact that, we need the young people in politics, without a doubt. We have been recycling those that we have, with all due respect to the Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell. But we need young people to come and give energy to the party and energy to policy and energy doing things differently. So that is the context of my question, that you're young, you're
I want to do things differently. And that's the reason why, I am here, because I believe that NNP gives you the opportunity to do that.
Right.
To be, me doing this in itself. The party has given me this opportunity to do things differently, and I'm already doing things differently. If you realize, I'm doing podcasts, I'm doing, I've already started doing things differently. So, and they gave me the flexibility to do that, and that's what I love about my party, is that I have that flexibility, and they listen. Like, if I have ideas, whatever my ideas are, they give me that flexibility to utilize the ideas that I have, and to do, as long as I'm respectable and I'm responsible. But they do give you that freedom, per se, to manage your own affairs.
We are looking. Let's look a moment, because we are coming to a conclusion of the program. But for a moment, let's look at the state of affairs within the NNP. You have a number of caretakers. You still have constituency that without caretakers, or if there's a surprise election, let's say next year, how prepared is the NNP to contest?
We are prepared. I would say we are definitely prepared. Not everything. We with us, we don't showcase everything. We don't play our hands too early, but we are definitely prepared. I without a doubt, I believe that if a snap election is called, that we will have all 15 candidates ready.
Let me give the opportunity to make any closing final statements before we end.
Oh, you want to give me?
Yes, an opportunity. Yes, fine. Yes, we give you an opportunity to make any final and closing statements that you may wish to make.
Okay, well, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this platform, so that people can get to know me better and to understand what my plans are. I think we really didn't get in too much in depth, so I have to promise that I will come back another time. I guess this was just the introduction, to me as Nolene and as a caretaker for St. David's. I just want to say to the people of St. David's that you have someone who is passionate about making a difference in your constituency, someone that you can count on to be there for you, someone who plans on leading with compassion and serving all, not some. Whether you support a different party, that doesn't mean that I would not include you in decisions and in consultations and being an ear to listen to you. So I want again to thank you for allowing me to come on, and I want to thank my constituency, for all the support. Everyone has welcomed me, whether it be NDC supporters, whether it be NNP supporters, every single person. I cannot say that I've been out there and have met people who have been rude or not willing to to engage with me. Yes, some people are staunch supporters of either side, and it's their right to do so. But again, thank you so much for allowing me in your homes to have the conversations with you, knowing that I will do my best to serve you at all levels, and again with not just because I believe every voice matters. So I want to encourage you guys to continue following me, and I will do my best to engage each and every one of you at some point in the near future.
We want to thank you for your appearance. Chris and I, we pledge not to ever again to refer to you as an air traffic controller. And we certainly hope to have you back. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. And viewers, thank you for being with us. And on behalf of MTV staff, technical and otherwise, thank you very much. Good evening all. We see you next week, same time, same place.